Hello everyone. I got a question about Polish and cavalry armies. Um, and it's from Emilio in Mexico, who has featured on this channel before. Hola Emilio. Um, and let me just read the question for you guys. Hello again, Bo. It's Emilio from Mexico. This time I'm writing to you to see if you can help me build a decent Polish army. Possibly I can. I do know a lot of really good players who play Polish armies, and I've played against really good Polish players. Um, in general, I love the assault tactics. Polish is the way to go. And I've been playing with Mongolian cavalry, really enjoying playing the cavalry. Combine those two, they're really, really good, Emilio. They are difficult to use, yes, but it's a fun and powerful tactics. Yes, cavalry does take, and assault tactics does take a little bit of training and getting used to. It's not auto win at any sense of the word. The problem is that the only good unit I can see in the Polish army are their cavalry. Yeah, that's pretty much it. The infantry has nothing special. The army has nothing against tanks, which worries me. They've only got light AT guns, expensive low velocity anti-tank guns. And what happens if I go up against a tank list? I think I have nothing to do. Maybe true, not necessarily though. Could you tell me which other units I could put in a decent list? What anti-tank options do I have? Are there armored cars and tanks worth it? What would be the optimal size for Polish Lancer units, and how many units would be fine? Yes, I can. Emilio also, by the way, asks for more in-depth videos about my two cavalry tactics called heralding tanks, herding tanks, and the whole row shuffle. And I will get back to herding tanks and the whole row shuffle at a later point, Emilio. But for now, let's go and see what we can do about maybe getting you some upgrades on your Polish lists. Right. So here we are. I'm on Easy Army, just because it's easier to show. And you can pretty much see that the Polish have a very limited roster. They are a classical minor nation early war army. Um, so the only reason that the Polish are ever featured in tournaments is because of their Lancers. So the Lancers is the way to go. Now, the optimized way of running Polish is, by the way, using dual platoons. So another reinforced platoon. So you have first and second platoon. That's the way to do it. However, if that's not possible, a third possible option would be to run a Polish cavalry platoon. I'll get back to not cavalry platoon, tank platoon. If you're afraid of going up against other tank platoons, this is the way to do it. Now, what would you build? Now, I'll just start with building one platoon, and then you can always double up on everything, right? You are going to need all of this. None of it really matters. The only thing that's worth it, that's anything special, is the cavalry sections. There are two ways to build these. You can either go regulars, and for regulars I'd think that you need 8 to 9 men, and you equip them with lancers. And for a platoon that includes cavalry squads, the HQ team can be mounted on horses for 5 points per man. We want that. Here we go. So this is a regular section of cavalry. It's got a lot of dudes in it, and we're buying an inexperienced second lieutenant. He is already mounted on a horse. We paid for that before. So now we have two cavalry units. We have one pin machine unit in the lieutenant and one regular cavalry section. The other way to do cavalry sections is to go veterans. And these are if you want them to be a little more survivable. and I would go 7-man veteran, equipped with lances. Why 7 men? Because 7 men means that you're pretty survivable, and with the large bases for cavalry, you have a huge footprint still. And with 7 men, you have 14 attacks. 14 attacks means 7 kills against regulars. That those 7 kills turn into a further 3 kills, so that's 10 kills. So with a 7-man veteran unit, you're pretty likely to wipe any regular unit off the board on average, right? Because you have tough fighter and double attacks. So for me, that is the optimized way of running veteran cavalry. 7-man has the further benefit of you having an odd number of men in a unit, so you need to kill 4 before you have to take a morale test, which is very unlikely to happen. Right. Right now I'm buying up to 500 points. The next thing I would get, the very next thing, is actually an armored car. And there is one armored car that shines above all else in the Polish list, and that is the TKS Tankette. You're buying them regular, you're getting... Now, for 90 points, you have a 7+ closed top with recce light autocannon Tankette. That is beautiful. That's really, really good, because that becomes your anti-tank option. Now, we can add other stuff. Mortars, always nice to have a mortar, right? Inexperienced medium mortar. Sniper, why not? Buy the marksman. Regular, yep, saving a few points. And that gives us just enough for one more section of cavalry, which I mean could be another section of veterans here. Give them lances. Yep. And that brings us right over the 500-point mark, which is where I wanted to go. Now, the second platoon, you could get yourself an anti-tank rifle team instead. Now you have the marksman, or you could double up on marksman, and then get yourself the cavalry sections again. The tankette. Look, here we have it. So that's 7 order dice in one platoon. That would mean you end up somewhere around the 13, 14, 15 order dice mark, which is a good place to be at 1,000 points if you double up these platoons. Cavalry here, that's a large section, could be cut down to a, instead of a 9-man section, could be an 8-man section, but I think there needs to be a little more men in a regular section of cavalry. The veteran sections, really good, possibly even better than the large section here, because that large section is clearly overkill. If that connects, it's going to rip apart anything. The medium mortar, nice to have some support. Marksman, of course, and the tankette. Now, the light automatic cannon, that will shred most Stuarts, especially if you move to the side of the Stuart. What you do until then is you give them pins, and you're firing HE every single round with the D2 pins. Yes, the Stuart could shuck them off and throw away the pins, but if you connect them, that Stuart is out for the next turn. Can't do a thing. It's double pinned. So that would be my suggestion for how to do this in a double platoon. You're just copy pasting this platoon into the next platoon, minus a few support units. Now, if you're wanting to go all out and getting yourself a full section here, 1,000 points in one platoon, then just buy extra cavalry. And I think you should, for a single platoon Polish list, I think you should max out on the cavalry. I think you should take every single cavalry unit you can. I think you should take the biggest artillery gun you can as well. Heavy howitzer with a spotter. Expensive, yes, but so deadly. And then you're going to need to take all the bits and bobs that you can get here, because at 1,000 points, we have the points to do this. And to take rifle team, regular, yep. And then we have 50 points left over for a Renault. Yeah, that's 35 points. It's slow, it's not very good. We're going to, nah, we're not going to buy a medium machine gun. That would be dumb, wouldn't it? Let's just spend the rest of the points on extra dudes on horseback. So, that is 998 points of Polish. 12 order dice, so we could get a few extra, but it is difficult to get a high order dice count with the Poles. Simply because you don't have the slots if you're going single platoon. If you're going double platoon, way easier. That's why I said double platooning is the way to go for Polish. You could even take a cut down on some of these and take a medic and maybe put him on horseback as well. Would be a nice little addition to the force, I think. Yes, he can't shoot, but he can do other stuff, especially in sectors. Yeah. So this would be my suggestion. Now, I wanted to show you one thing, and that is if you're going to go into a meta where there are tank platoons, you know what you can do? You can build an all TKS army. My team did so for the last WTC. We bought TKSs with the light autocannon and a command vehicle for one of them. Oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Another TKS. Where is it? There we go. And we brought these to the WTC, the top competitive tournament in the world right now. And it actually, I don't think it lost a single game, this list. We had brought 5 TKSs. Here we go. And the idea here was to use the TKSs to hunt in packs. So you were running the TKSs in a group that was just, there's something off here. Oh, that's because, never mind. And then we had 3 cavalry sections, all of them regulars. I think they were 7 men regulars. Oh, forgot the lancers. Regulars, cavalry section, 7 men, regulars, lancers. Save. The idea here being was that the whole army, everything in the army, with the exception of small teams, had escape moves because it all was either cavalry or had recce. And that meant that the army was extremely difficult to kill. So this was the basis of the army. Then we had some supports for it. That was the basis. So yes, the Polish do have 2 units that are worth it. The TKS, amazing little, and it's so small, it can hide anywhere. It gets hard cover so easily. And at the same time, it's got recce, so it can move away if it's really threatened. And the cavalry, all of that combined made it a really fun army to play, a really difficult army for the opponent to face, and an army that did extremely well. So yeah, use the Polish. They're not bad at all, Emilio. Not bad at all. Um, it does take a little bit of training, and it does take you getting used to mm, having just 2 units that are really good. But once you do that, well, I think you can do it. Uh, it turns into a really good army. Right. That was it from me. Good luck, Emilio. Cheers.